Thanks for staying with us. Now, youth unemployment has been described as South Africa's ticking time bomb. While some young people have given up on looking for work, others are encouraged to start businesses. But sometimes several impediments can lead to some entrepreneurs deciding not to start businesses or simply close shop. Let's speak now to a trust that also got into action, especially during the COVID-19 crisis. That is the Oppenheimer Generations Executive Chair. Jonathan Oppenheimer joins us live now. Thank you so much for your time. Now, entrepreneurship is often seen as a key driver of economic development, job creation, as well as social change in South Africa. But sometimes when you speak to some of these either young people or simply budding entrepreneurs, they tell you that for them it's not an option. And I wonder, from engaging with some of them, from your vantage point, what are some of the reasons that they give for not wanting to even enter into this space?
Bongiwe, that's the question, right? If we knew the answer, we'd fix the problems of the world. At its core, it's a balance of finding a space where effort has a proportionate and satisfactory reward. And so often we find that young people coming into the job market, trying to be entrepreneurial, setting up their own businesses, find that their effort is just not rewarded. And in that context, it's really, really difficult for us to encourage those people to continue to participate in the economy, make a contribution to the future success of South Africa, and basically help us plot a path from today to a much more prosperous future. And that's clearly what we at the South Africa Future Trust have been thinking about in our second chapter of life. I mean, we were founded at a moment of time when there was a real need to help the small and medium-sized business enterprise domain, and particularly those employees in that domain who were facing the uncertainty that COVID brought. And we did that quite successfully as a family. We gave R1 billion to a trust which endeavored to do that, and through the structures that we created, which supported over 100,000 people and 10,000 small businesses, we were able to help those people into a sustainable place where they could access government grants and the likes. Some of that money is now coming back to us because it was extended to those small businesses as interest-free loans. And as that money comes back, we have the opportunity to use that money for further good in the small, medium-sized business space. And we're looking at trying to understand and enable those small businesses and those entrepreneurs to provide growth, opportunities, jobs across South Africa. And we're very excited to be launching Chapter 2 of that, what we're calling South Africa Future Trust version 2.0.
And especially, when you talk about that particular 2.0, one then wonders, what does it look like, especially when you think about the impact of COVID-19, as you've said, and the fact that some of these, businesses talk about cash flow being among some of the challenges that they often are faced with when they have to sustain some of these businesses. So I wonder, what does Chapter 2 look like?
So Chapter 2 is all about trying to understand, as you said in your introduction, the impediments to those people succeeding in that space. And what we're beginning to understand, as you've just mentioned, cash flow is king. So case in point, if you're a small business and you want to contract with a big corporate or government, you're likely to be paid in 90 to 120 days. If you're paid in 90 to 120 days and you are tight on working capital, you're dead. So one of the ideas we have is, can we enter into some sort of enabling tool to help small businesses access that cash flow earlier and do it on a sustainable basis? So not just simply provide invoice financing, but actually find a way to do that on a sustainable basis. Another significant constraint that we find in the small business space is access to data. Data is used to communicate with your people. Data is used to gain market intelligence. Data is used to advertise. Data is used to provide information and contact and work with your suppliers. If you can't access data because it's very, very expensive, all of those really, really important pillars to a successful business become more difficult. So can we think of partnering with people, working with people, enabling an environment where there is cheaper data in South Africa?
And someone is wondering, pardon me, someone is wondering tonight, and they're watching us and they're thinking, is it open to everybody? Does a business have to have been in existence for it to get assistance? How does it all work? What does it all look like?
So it's a very, very good question. It's absolutely, actually, nearly the most important question. In all honesty, we at South Africa Future Trust believe our job is to enable an environment, to create a space in which entrepreneurs and small and medium-sized enterprises can prosper. So is there a constraint? No. Do we have people we know already? Well, the 10,000 businesses who accessed South Africa Future Trust 1.0 have a leg up because we already know them. But that doesn't mean that we're not open to new business. Our job, if we can call it a job, if it's not a vocation, is to help create a space where the most employment generative part of the South African economy can be as prosperous as it possibly can be. And that is in the small, medium-sized space. So can we create ecosystems where we can support small business growth, small business development? Can we help them in both the financial and the non-financial space to prosper? And can we do that very, very critically in partnership with others? We're not in the business of a solution which is owned by us exclusively. We want to partner. We want to partner with small business. We want to enable small business, and we would love for others with the same vision for South Africa to walk alongside us, help us, and in turn be helped by us to drive that process forward.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Do appreciate it this evening. And as you say, there's quite a lot, especially when it comes to the entrepreneurship space, just to even unpack when it comes to some of the challenges, some of the enabling environments, what do they look like at a practical level? And you mentioned something around access to data. That alone, you think about how huge of a cost that is. But thank you so much for that. That is Jonathan Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer Generations Executive Chair.